Yeah. So actually, the changes, okay, the climatic response of the above array field would further be complicated if they were situated in different topography. Okay. So in this case, what I said, these uh, the the land which is flat, okay, but it has got different characteristics. Okay. So even this will have an impact on overall microclimate of the region. Okay. Suppose if the same thing is in different contours or different topography. Okay. So further it will have a very complicated microclimatic effect because of this landform. Okay. So that is what is been said here. So if flat land with different uh, a flat land with different soil characteristics itself will have uh, impact on microclimate, but a soil form with varied topography will have even more further complicated microclimatic effect on immediate surrounding. Okay, so which includes the solar, because of the solar three components. One is, it's called the solar loading or moisture availability and drainage pattern. So what happens in solar loading, differences would arise because of the slope and the aspect. Okay, the slope will vary. Okay, the difference between the depth. Okay, this is okay. So difference between the variation in the slope and the distance between two consecutive slopes will also have an impact on the climate, that the microclimate, that the result at which result the resultant microclimate of it. Okay. The second component that will have an impact is on the moisture availability, would vary because of the precipitation. Okay. So we have seen in the initial diagrams, if you remember, uh, if this is the rain driven side, we will have a lot of precipitations on one of this side, and this region will be dry. Okay. So there is one picture, I think if you remember, recall it, there was one picture which depicted uh, uh, plenty of rain being received on one side of the mountain or one side of the terrain. On the other side, it is a dry, it hardly receives any rain, and at the reverse of it, it receives more solar radiations. Okay, so this could also have an impact on overall the climatic conditions of that region. Apart from that, there will be the drainage characteristics and the wind field would also be get affected because of this, because of the channelization and the shelter effect as a result. Okay, so there are apart from the soil characteristics that is discussed here. Okay, variation in these soil characteristics or vegetation characteristics, um, uh, the change in topography will also have to compensate on solar exposure, moisture and drainage characteristics as well. Okay, so the uh, the resultant understanding is more complex. Okay, because of varied topography. Fine. So this is what precisely I also try to mention. One of the greatest challenge in a modern atmospheric science is to understand the way in which these interaction takes place. Okay, only then we will be able to approach a fully dimensional climatology which accounts into different space time domain. Okay, so this is a very complex phenomena. Okay, where proper understanding or proper modeling is required to come out with a correct decision. Okay, and that's why normally it is said that simulating or recreating microclimate is very difficult, because there are so many n number of parameters that will have an influence on the climate or the microclimate as such. So each getting into details of each of the parameters will be Herculean task. So generalization is done at broad levels, so that it can be applied or can be used by all during the course of the time. Okay, so in the book that we are reading, or that in fact I'm reading and then talking to you from, he said the topography can be classified in two ways. Okay, for easy understanding, or for to have a comprehensive understanding. First, he says it's based on the spatial variation in surface characteristics, and the second one is on the effects of topography. Okay, so changes in surface characteristics is one aspect, and effects of it, for example, here also these are changes in surface characteristics. Okay, and in within that itself there are so many, as if you change only the surface characteristics, how the overall microclimate or the climate changes of that region is depicted in the first component. And the second component, he has integrated this with the changing terrain. Okay, so we will also see what are the terminologies that is used to define these change in characteristics and how it impacts. Okay, so there are two things he has classified in the first case, that is spatial inhomogeneity, that is changes in surfaces. This is the same thing, change in surface character. So change in surface character can be understood in two ways. One is advective effect, and other one is thermal circulation system. We will see what is this in little detail. So if I have to read it properly, we will note that modification in atmospheric properties, as air already is in horizontal motion, moves from one distinct surface to other surface, which are termed as advective effect. Okay, advective effect, how you can understand is, we have a large air mass here. Okay, let us assume which is cold, or which is and another air mass which is hot. Okay, at some point there will be a movement from hot air to cold air. Okay, that the convection will happen. Okay, that phase, or that process is called as advective effect. Okay, and the second one is the contrasting property will also have an overall impact on thermal circulation. So there will be a difference in heat balance between one surface to other surface, and because of that, how temperature variation is created. For example, land and sea, or land and water body. Okay, this could be one good example. Or vegetation and built up. Okay, this could be one example where difference in temperatures within two surfaces will have an impact on overall sunning. I think, yeah. So see, same thing which I was just trying to explain. Advective effect is where you have one air mass which is cold and one air mass which is hot, and there will be a time where there will be an exchange will take place before convection happens. This process is convection, where the dense air mass hits the warm air, and which replaces the hot air mass. That effect is called advective effect, and this can be understood in three ways. Okay, he has further classified the effect of this replacement as clothesline effect, leading edge effect, and oasis effect. So maybe these terminologies we may not have heard of it, but if you understand the concept, these are not very alien to us. We have discussed this, but we not probably not using the same keyword as clothesline or leading edge and oasis effect or so. Okay, so what is clothesline effect? So this effect is normally restricted to flow of air through vegetative canopy. Actually what happens is, for example, if you see this image, okay, so this line can be termed as clothesline. Okay, and assume that this is the wind direction. Okay, and this line or this bunch of vegetation prevents the flow of wind. Okay, all the impact is taken by this line of tree. Okay, so and this effect is called clothesline effect. And normally if you see most of the vegetation, okay, I don't have the picture. Normally what happens, we have a thick vegetation here. Okay, and probably the first line or first some depth of vegetation is where most of the wind's impact can be observed. Okay, so that line is, or that effect is called clothesline effect. The ideal condition exists at a vegetative stand border, as for example at the edge of crop surrounded by warm or dry ground. Okay, so this is one effect, one result as that can be experienced because of the change in the surfaces. Okay, so you have one surface here, and we have another vegetative surface here. Okay, and we have this is the same thing. Okay, it's all vegetative surface. At this juncture, okay, there is a change in the wind. The flow of wind is obstructed by the vegetation that we have here. Okay, so that is called clothesline effect. Okay, as a result, there is a decline in the wind speed as well. Okay, so because it takes the impact, and then some of the energy is lost, and then the rest of the wind is passed on. In fact, I have not put the details. If you read these sections further in the book, he says up to 10 to 15%, okay, of 10 to 15% of further depth, the impact can be felt between 10 to 15% of the area from the line of impact. Okay, so this boundary what he is defining is about 10 to 15% of the land. Okay, then there is almost same impact can be felt throughout. Okay, there will be gradual decline in the wind speed. Okay, because of the change in this surface characteristics. Okay, and then that change can be observed up to 10 to 15% of the depth, and then you will see uniform characteristics later on. Okay, so that is one thing. The second thing that is discussed is leading edge or fetch effect. So the point at which this changes, okay, is the leading edge. Okay, from where the change in wind speed can be observed. Okay, and again there is a specific calculation to up to which this change can be observed, like I said, 10 to 15%, and later on the air remains uniform. Okay, because of the similar characteristics that we have, but there some change takes place between this surface to vegetative surface we have here. Okay, so that is that edge, or that edge is called leading edge. Okay, as air passes from one surface type to a new or climatically different surface, it must be adjusted to new set of boundary conditions. This line of discontinuity is called leading edge. Okay, so just one second. Okay, so this was the second type, or second impact that we can observe in the surfaces. The third thing is, yeah, again, yeah, some more description I put. This change we are discussing only from one aspect. For example, we have from this surface the vegetation starts, okay, and there is a difference in the way in which wind behaves from here. Okay, and also temperature variation will also be able to feel between this surface to other. But if you see in larger context, okay, it can occur in different surfaces because of the, for example, because of the differences in the surface property along the sections of the earth. For example, this can also be visualized in a larger context. For example, there is a habitable space here, and there's some marshy land, and you have some water body, and man-made road characteristics. So even these change in the property, surface property, what we have put, the water characteristics, okay, water plus moisture characteristics, okay. So all this will also have an impact, okay, that can be observed through fetch effect, okay. So actually how it is done, in fact, if you read this further in the book, this is done, they have done it, they have flown aircraft, okay, to measure this section over a period of time. They have run aircraft, okay, measuring temperatures through the section, and then the effect is computed, okay. So the first effect is Claude-Line effect, okay, where we can see that there's a change in surface property, okay, and to what extent it will have an impact. The second is the line at which changes takes place, and also because of the characteristics, the surface characteristics that we have in hand, okay. And the third characteristics is oasis effect, okay. Maybe this may look very new, or probably landscape architects may already have used this kind of word, but at least from for a layman perspective, this may not be a commonly used word. But if you see the actual signs of it, we will be in a position to understand that this is like urban. For example, oasis effect can be understood from urban park, okay. Urban park acts as a cooling islands, okay. For example, or for example, if you have a big chunk of park in a dense urban area, there will be huge difference between the temperature that is felt in the built up area and the vegetative part, okay. So that the effect created by the vegetative part is called as oasis effect, okay, because of the evaporation that takes place due to vegetation, dense vegetation that it contains. Due to evaporation or evaporation cooling, okay, an isolated moisture source always finds itself cooler than surrounding in an otherwise rather arid region. This can be this oasis effect can be understood or looked from different ways. For example, a cool moist surface is dominated by large scale warmer or drier surrounding, or a lake in an area with during summer, or a glacier in a mountain, or isolated snow patch, or an urban park. Okay, this is the simplest example through which we all can understand how having a greenery in an urban area will have an impact on the immediate surrounding. Okay, so the effect that is created as a result is called oasis effect. Okay, so this is again change in the surface characteristics. So we have all built up, and suddenly we have vegetative part and again built up. Okay, so this change in surface characteristics is what we are discussing, and this is the third thing that is mentioned in the book on how surface characteristics have an impact on the microclimate of the region. Okay, the second component that is discussed is on thermal circulation, thermal circulation system. The changes or the contrasting thermal environments results in development of horizontal pressure gradients, which is sufficient to overcome the retarding influence of the friction, which will cause air motion across boundary between the layers. This is the statement taken from the book. This can be understood from this diagram as well. There will be a change. Okay, let us assume this is all the land surface that we have, and we have another surface, for example maybe a cooler region, right? And the hot air, we have discussed this in the initial classes also, I guess, if I am not wrong. The tendency of air, there will be a constant change between cool air to warm air. Okay, that cycle will keep on happening. Okay, and this will also happen because of the change in the characteristics, land characteristics. So for example, we have a seashore and they built up. Okay, and we know that how during daytime and nighttime the cycle changes. Okay, so this thermal circulation system can or classified in three ways, I guess. One is land and sea breeze. Okay, compared with most of the land surface, water exhibits very little diurnal variation in surface temperature, and because of this convection takes place. Okay, hot air is replaced by cold air, and vice versa during day and night time. This is one. Land and water surface poses contrasting thermal properties because of the different properties and energy balance, and this is driving force behind the land and sea breeze circulation encountered during in the coastal regions or seashores. Okay. The second thing is all general. Okay, where other types of thermal breeze can take place because of the variation between the land mass that we have in one side and the other vegetative part or water body that we have on the other side. It can be because of the weak. I think there is a diagram to explain this. Maybe that will give a greater understanding on that. Okay, so I have put some indicative lines on what is the other way things will happen. The thermal contrast between cool sub-canopy interior layers of the forest by day and this unshaded surrounding fields, for example grassland, can also create some kind of differences in the temperature between one surface to one part of the surface to other. Water is one we have seen. Okay, so we have water and we have built surface on this side. This will create this energy balance. And also this can also take place when you have vegetative surface. Okay, it can be grassland, it can be thick vegetation. There also there will be exchange of heat between the two surfaces. Yeah. Yeah, these are the two things that is mentioned. Okay, so one was change in surface property. Okay, and as a result there are three effects that was discussed. One is blocking of wind, okay, by this thick vegetative layers that we have, and the second is the impact or the fetch or the edge effect. Okay, what happens and how much it impacts the immediate surrounding from the windward side. And the third one is having vegetation in the middle, or having a dense vegetation and its impact through OSS effect. Okay, so that was the first through impact. The second one is thermal imbalance or change in energy because of this change in surface characteristics are discussed. Okay, so that was on flat land. Okay, so whatever we discussed is on more or less on flat lands. Like I told in the beginning, if the terrain is different, okay, if the terrain is like this, then the impact created by these terrains will be way different from the surfaces that we have. Okay, so how topography, change in topography will have an impact is what is discussed here. So here the entire discussion is summarized in two ways. One, how solar radiation and airflow gets affected because of change in the topography. Okay, and of course the surface characteristics is superimposed on this changed topography, and two more components are discussed. One is on solar radiation and the airflow. Okay, so the first thing, we all know this, and we use it very commonly as well. The radiations received by surface is usually a major determinant of climate. Okay, and topographically induced radiation variations lead to energy balance difference across the landscape. South facing slope will receive, in fact, 3 times more than the slopes that are facing north. Okay, and we use this kind of chart, right, to understand how much solar radiations that we receive for different latitudes, and what can we do with it. So the change in latitude will have an impact on the amount of solar radiations that we receive during different seasons. For example, there's one example given here on what is the solar radiation that we receive during equinox and summer and winter solstice. Okay, for a given case, and we know that how we can access these informations readily as well. Okay, so it is evident therefore that orientation of surface with respect to solar beam is very powerful variables in determining its energy income. So that means, for example, we know that this is the land surface. Okay, and we know that, okay, this surface will receive direct solar radiation, it will have an impact. So we should make conscious efforts, or consciously design these terrains in such a way that it does not have an impact, or you can't say it does not have an impact, it minimizes the energy load. Okay, so through conscious design and landscaping exercise. Okay, so further, Yeah, it also follows that the naturally uneven configurations of the landscape produces a wide spectrum of microclimates, and these have implications on other aspects of physical environment. Okay, so we said that one, there is a change in the land surfaces, and there is a change in the amount of solar radiations and precipitation received by both uh, precipitation received by change in this kind of topography. Okay, so as a result, there will be a small microclimate being created at each valleys. Okay, and that we can use it for our benefit, or if we have good, we should have good understanding to make use of it for our benefit. Okay, yeah, this is what is mentioned here. Plants and animal habitats are affected, thereby leading to distinctly different groups of flora and fauna and on different slopes. Okay, based on the because of the different climate characteristics, this will have a different vegetation, and we can aim for different habitation based on the characteristics that we have in hand. Okay, and that was the first thing, the amount of solar radiation that we will receive as a result of change in topography that we have in hand. Okay, the second one is because of change in the topography, there will be wind. Okay, local wind being created because of the variations in the temperature that we see here and here. Okay, so the second component that is discussed, or the second component that comes to for discussion as a result of change in topography is the topographically generated winds. These are called local winds. I think, yeah, it is there. Yeah, valleys, especially those in the mountain regions, produce their local winds. There's a we normally use this when we discuss about the sea and land surface. We say that, okay, there is a local wind here, and because of which the temperature is controlled over this region. However, local wind also can occur in different contexts. Okay, for example, change in terrain, the change in topography, or the level difference. Because of the level difference, there will be difference in temperature, and that creates local wind. Okay, that can be used for these are called valley winds, local valley winds, which can be used for which can be utilized for while designing in this context. Okay, actually, if you see within that variation, I have taken this from the same book as book. It says at night the valley surfaces cool by emission of long wave radiations. Okay, the lower air layer cool and they slides down under the influence of gravity. These are katabatic effect. Okay, winds usually flow gently down from the slope, and if you see the sections, if you take this is taken from the book again. If you plot the temperature profile within that valley sections, okay, you can see there will be a change in the temperature profile as well. Okay, and this is the actual profile of the topography or land, and you can also see how temperature corresponds to change in the landform. Okay, and yeah, if you read that book, they have said, they have also described how they have done this, how they exactly measured these variations, and how it was plotted. Okay, so many such experiments have been done, in such uh, complex landforms to understand how these change in topography will have an impact on microclimate and so on. Okay, so this is first we saw the amount of solar radiation that is received, okay, as a result of this. The second, the local wind that it generates within that valley and its impact on microclimate. And the third one is modified winds. Okay, so modified winds is the airflow over non-uniform terrain is not easily generalizable. Every hill, valley, depression or tree, rocks, hedge, etc. creates its unique pattern. Okay, flow over flat surface normally adhere to something called no slip condition. I think there is a diagram. Yeah. For example, this is as a result of change in topography. The change in temperatures can be observed here. That is more like a valley wind, local wind created as a result. As a result of it, there is a change in temperature that can be observed. And also this change in topography will also have an impact on the regular wind that is received in that valley. Okay, for example, you have these are very simple examples to explain the concept. Typical pattern of airflow over moderate topography. Okay, where in a darker shade we can observe higher higher velocity in the in this kind of dots. You can observe lower velocity of wind. Okay, and how there is a, because of this mount, okay, what is the difference that you can observe in this mount and what you can observe on the windward and leeward side. Okay, similarly, if there is a change in the if it is the reverse of this, okay, valley, in the valley condition, what happens? Okay, and if the slope is steep, one-sided, and it is what happens? Okay, so this is called modified wind. Okay, this is again, it is classified in three ways: flow from moderate topography, okay, and flow from steep topography, and there is one more, flow over roughness surface. Okay, so I have put some diagram here. Maybe you can read how small variations that is brought in the small variations that is observed in the topography will have an impact on the local wind, not only local wind, and also on the general prevailing wind conditions that is observed. Okay, why we should learn all this, and what is the impact that we will encounter if you don't know, or as an architect or planner or the designer, what do we learn from here and how do we take it into design, right? There are many environmental and practical implications arising from because of these kind of variations that we need to understand. Okay, so if we have a good understanding about these kind of changes and its impact, we'll be in a better position to design, for example, let's say infrastructure projects or proper drainage along the terrains, okay, or identifying correct locations for habitations and so on and so forth. All right, I think I will just stop. I will add the guest maybe.